Hello friends, and welcome to another Marvel Rivals character concept. Today we're going to do things a little bit different. We're going to be explaining a specific character that hasn't been really mentioned in a lot of media as of late. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go into their backstory, or at least give a little bit of context to the character before we actually explain the actual kit for the character. The character in question is Silhouette. Now you're like, who the heck is this character? Who is Silhouette? Go ahead and sit down and let me tell you the story of this character that was created back in August of 1990. Silhouette is a Marvel character who first appeared in the New Warriors comic volume 1 number 2. She was the daughter of Andrew Cord and Miami, who was a descendant of the Dragon's Breath, which I'll put that in, right here, so y'all can see it. Miami was a member of a cult that was essentially trying to crossbreed different abilities and different genetics, so that way they could create essentially like the perfect the perfect being. Now, if you want to read more into it, I'll provide the links down below so y'all can look into that. But Silhouette was the result of all this genetic experimentation. She was abandoned in Chinatown along with her twin brother Aaron, having to learn and grow up and survive in this dangerous urban city until they soon discovered that they had mutant abilities. Silhouette joined a gang called the Concrete Dragons, where she learned to defend herself and used her shadow teleportation abilities to combat rival gangs. At the age of 14, Silhouette watched as the other members of her gang were eliminated by the poison memories because of her refusal to submit herself as the leader's slave. At one point during their story, Silhouette had teamed up with her brother as well as another character named Night Slasher, where she was shot and unable to dodge the bullet, which had ruptured her spine, causing her to become paralyzed from the waist down. Yes, she is a paraplegic. Before y'all jump to the comments of, oh, a paralyzed character in Marvel Rivals, how's that gonna work? Just sit down, put the keyboards away, let me finish the story, okay? Then we'll get back into it. We'll get back into the actual powers here in a moment. Undaunted, Silhouette utilized her braces in combat and joined Night Thrasher's New Warriors. A lot of her powers are, like you heard, derived from shadow mending, or manipulating shadows in a place called the Dark Force Dimension. I'm sure you've heard of that at some point with Cloak and Dagger. Let me break it down really quick by going into her actual powers. Silhouette originally was able to shadow meld, thereby becoming nearly invisible while in the shadows. She also had the ability to teleport using the Dark Force Dimension by entering shadows and exiting through another shadow as she desired. She was also capable of using these shadows to attack enemies from a distance, appearing from them and utilizing her crutches as a weapon through the shadows. And then there came a point where she was able to create shadow tendrils from the dark force matter itself. Not only that, it also includes enhanced abilities such as physical speed, strength, agility, and other sensory perception. I've drawn this out a little bit, but we're gonna go ahead and just jump into the kit, because the kit I'm actually very, very excited to talk about. But before we jump into that, go ahead and like the videos, because it pushes my video out to other people who may enjoy concepts like this, or who just may enjoy just concepts in general. I'm not really focused on tweaking this too much to be balanced. If y'all want to argue about the balance in the comments, go ahead and do so. And of course, if you really enjoy the content that I'm pushing out here and you want to see more stuff like it, hit that subscribe button so that we guys can come back to the video, okay? But let's jump into the kit of Silhouette. So like I always do, I always have the kit right here on my phone, so that way I can just read off of it for you guys. So the difficulty level is going to be about a 4, I would say, because she will be very difficult to use, especially in the newer hands. But her whole kit is going to be designated around specifically diving. Okay, so she's going to be another dive strategist, just like another one we just had recently, White Fox. In this case, her kit will be focused more around supporting the team and supporting dive heroes as they're going in. Let me explain how all this is going to work. The main mechanic, Silhouette can submerge into parallel shadow dimension via a toggle mechanic. She's completely invisible to enemies beyond 3 meters, I would say. She moves at 75% speed while she's submerged, but she cannot be targeted and she cannot damage other people. So it's specifically so she can move around. Her primary fire is going to be called the Umbral Strike, a fast shadow tendril projectile that fires at short to medium range. The damage fall off is very significant when it gets to long range. If she fires this tendril from the shadow plane, which will be the toggle ability, where she's able to swap between both the shadow plane and the regular world, tendrils will erupt from beneath the target she fires at, rooting them for half a second. So literally it's like 0.5 seconds. Her secondary fire will be called the Shadow Mark, and this will be where like her uniqueness comes into play as far as her healing ability goes. Okay, so just hear me out on this part. This is like a very unique part. Silhouette places a living shadow mark on a targeted enemy, and it functions as a healing conduit for her team. Now, what do I mean by this? Active marks up to 3 enemies simultaneously will have a duration for like a set amount of time or until the marked enemy dies, whichever comes first. Allies who damage any marked enemies receive 35 healing points per hit with no trigger cap. Essentially, it rewards focusing down specific enemies. So you have the biggest issue where it's like, hey, I need you to target this enemy, but there's no incentive. Like, there's no reason to target this enemy. No, at least no direct incentive to target this enemy. Again, this idea kind of, in my opinion, is extremely unique to this character, because I haven't seen anything similar to it before, but most of her healing capability will come from this shadow mark. I was considering probably doing like some over healing for it. It's like, oh, if a character's already, you know, at max health and they attack this enemy, then, you know, do they get over health? I'm on the fence as to that. But again, she can mark up to 3 enemies at one time. On the 4th one, it eliminates the oldest mark. Her first ability is gonna be called Dark Passage. I already know they just introduced Black Cat's teleport, and of course you have Doctor Strange's teleport. Silhouette opens a 2-way shadow portal connecting 2 points on the battlefield. She places the first portal in one area, and then she'll move to the second area and place it there. Only one person can travel through it at one time, so she's able to teleport one person at one point. It lasts for about 10 seconds, I would say, and once an ally steps through it, they receive, say, about 60 health per second while they're in it, and again, it only will be about 2 to 3 seconds. Her second ability will be called Shadow Embrace. Silhouette reaches from the shadow plane and envelops a targeted ally in living darkness. Castable while fully submerged, she never has to surface to use it. Now, with this being said, again, while she is submerged in darkness, she cannot do damage. She can hold someone in place, but only for a certain period of time. If an ally is enveloped in the Shadow Embrace, then they become darkened and blurred to enemies, reducing the precision of the targeted abilities against them. So essentially, they become almost invisible, almost entirely invisible, not entirely though. And Silhouette's passive is her Crutch Blades. Now, as far as this goes, I'm on the fence as to whether or not to have it, because having blades at the end of some crutches, it does add to her character and it makes her fighting capabilities much, you know, it makes them make more sense, honestly. But to go along with the actual kit itself, Silhouette's forearm crutches are edged weapons. At point blank range, her primary fire is replaced by a swift crutch blade strike. So essentially her melee she gets an increased melee damage because of her blades on her crutches. And then of course her ultimate. Silhouette expands the shadow plane across the battlefield for 7 seconds, I would say. Effect on the enemies: all enemies see Silhouette's allies as faint, blurred outlines only, essentially blinding them so they can't see as well. And the effect on allies, they can actually see clearly through this shadow plane. Essentially is a debuff for the enemies, and it provides slight healing for allies. If Silhouette were to then target an enemy with the shadow mark, then allies shooting that enemy would then receive nearly double the amount of healing than they normally would. But what do you guys think of this concept? Would y'all want to play against this? Would y'all want to see something like this in Marvel Rivals? Drop it down in the comments below so that way we can talk about it. Other than that, guys, that is all from me. I'll see you on the next one. Later.